what you're telling me right now and quoting code sections to me, guess what that tells me? You're trying to be an attorney. I want you to internalize what I'm saying. She doesn't have to talk to you. You're not her client. She's an adult, so I don't even know why you have them in the first place.
Welcome to Bench Report Court Cam.
Are you ready on Claudia Aaron?
Just stuff to see if they're here. They have not, they've left.
Okay.
But she just stepped out in the crowd.
Okay.
They're actually here, Your Honor.
Okay, sure.
Or at least the father is.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, Judge.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing good. Nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you too. So you're the father?
I am.
Okay. All right. So this is what I always tell parents. And I used to be a defense attorney, so I know how it is with parents. When parents have children, their child can be 30, their child can be 40, that's still their baby, and they want to be involved. And it's especially true when you have a child who is young, 17, 18. But here's the thing, in this world, they're all considered adults.
Okay.
And when they have an attorney or something, the relationship is between them and their attorney. I used to have to tell parents all the time because sometimes the parents would hire me. And I used to have to sit down with parents and say, hey, you've hired me, you're paying me, but that's the end of our relationship. You can't be a part of discussions I have with my client because guess what? I would tell them, if you're a part of discussions I have with my client, then there's no attorney-client privilege. And you know what ends up happening with that? When there's no attorney-client privilege, guess what? You can be called as a witness. Anybody who's in that room having a conversation, it's all fair game. They can be called as a witness. And maybe sometimes there's something that maybe a client wants only their attorney to know, and they don't want other people to know. But when parents are in the room, guess what? That all goes by the wayside. And sometimes we have to let our children go and let our children be adults. So on this side of the fence, I would always tell parents, it's great. I need you to be supportive. I need you to make sure that my client, your child, is keeping their mental health great. They know that everybody is rooting for them and are a part of their team. And I would tell them, but that's where it ends. And it can't go past that because when it does, there's an issue. And let me just tell you my experience with one case I had in the past. Had this client very young. Mother wanted to be 100% in the conversations, even though I would tell them, hey, you shouldn't be in this conversation and you cannot be talking to your child about what happened because guess what? You can be called as a witness. They wouldn't listen to me. And so when it came time to do a plea bargain agreement, the parent is in the hallway, and I can tell you this because they were in the hallway shouting, so everybody heard, so it's not confidential. So they're like, I want my child to do A, B, and C. And you know, I told them, I said, that's your child's choice. Because guess what? If your child chooses A, B, or C, and if something ends up happening and they end up going to prison, the judge is not going to say, you know what, your child only chose A, B, and C because of you, so we're going to let you suffer the consequences. You understand?
I do.
And for some reason, with attorneys, people assume that being an attorney is easy and being a doctor is so much differently. Because if you go to see a doctor and you get a second opinion and a doctor tells you, oh yeah, your child needs a heart transplant, or oh yeah, we need to take the appendix out. A parent doesn't go to that doctor and say, well, I want to look at everything and let me just tell you how I think this appendix should be taken out. The person depends on the doctor, that the doctor knows what they're doing. And that's the same case. That's the same situation with these cases. And everybody needs to understand that. Cannot be crossing lines. Does everybody understand? Understand?
I understand.
All right. So that's the way it's going to be. So this is what's going to end up happening. We are going to come back and we're going to come back on June 27th. Counsel, is that enough time?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we're coming back on June 27th, and let me just tell you the way this court is
Oh,
run.
well, you say 27th or 22nd?
27th.
I am double booked. I've got a hearing on the 27th.
Okay,
But
all right, we can bring it back on the 24th.
yes, thank you.
All right, so we're going to come back on June 24th. This is the way things run in this court. I make sure that everybody has the discovery. So when the defense counsel and everybody tells me I've received all the discovery, next thing I do, I require the state to tender an offer to the defense. And the defense has an ethical and legal obligation to tender that offer to their client and tell their client what the consequences are of the offer. Then I give everybody a plea deadline date because I want people to think about whether they want to accept the plea or not accept the plea. If they decide not to accept the plea, when I give them the plea deadline date, then that plea deadline date has expired and the next setting is going to be a jury trial. And if somebody after that plea deadline date has expired decide, oh gosh, I don't want to go to trial, the only way I'll accept a plea is for good cause. Otherwise, they'll have to plea open to the court. All right, everybody understand? Any questions, Dad?
I do have one
Sure.
question, Judge.
Yes.
When your child has a serious, persistent mental illness and a developmental disorder, and that is recognized and should be recognized early on in the Article 1622 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. And there's been multiple suicide attempts.
All right, let me stop you right there. So here's the thing. With regards to that, that is something for her attorney to address. What you should do as a parent is turn information over to the defense attorney if you think it's something that she needs to know or is something that her client wants her to know. You understand?
Okay.
So here's the thing, you got to cut the string. And when I say cut the string in the court, I mean court the card as in your daughter and her attorney need to be able to have conversations in private. Now, if her attorney wants information from you, then the attorney will ask you, say, hey, I need some information from you. These are records. Maybe I need these records. I'm trying to get these records. Do you have these records? This is something that I want to view. That's completely up to the attorney. But what you're telling me right now and quoting code sections to me, guess what that tells me? You're trying to be an attorney and you're not an attorney. Did you go to law school?
I didn't go to law school.
So there's the thing. People think that they can read penal codes. They can read the Code of Criminal Procedure and that's it. And not to step on anybody's toes, but for criminal law, when you're practicing criminal law, you know what your Bible is? Your Bible for your profession is this book. And you see how thick this book is? And so if I were not an attorney, guess what? I would see one section and I'm like, oh, that section says that. D is for done. But that's not the way it works. This entire code, guess what? You may read something in this section and still you have to go to this section because it all relates to it. It's similar to the Bible. And let me bring the Bible up for you. Some people will just read one section of the Bible and guess what? When you read that one section, that same person who is listed in that one section, there's somebody else in a different book that has something about that person in the other section. So when you just come away with one part of that section, you think, oh, I'm done, and you're not. And that's why you have to study this forward and backwards. And how many years have you been an attorney?
Over 20, and I'm board certified in criminal law.
All right, over 20, board certified in criminal law. So when people are throwing code sections out to her, let me just tell you, I know her. Every attorney in here knows her, and all attorneys know each other because when you've been in Bexar County practicing for over 20 years, people know you, people know your work. What I can tell you is she would not be board certified in criminal law if she didn't know this book and know the updated part of the book. And what do you do for a living?
I have been the president of an international Fortune 400 company in
Okay.
Mexico City.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
How would you feel is if you are doing that job, and how many years have you done that?
20.
You've done that for 20 years. And I just walk into your place of business and I'm telling you how to run things and telling you what the law is about something that you've been doing for all your adult life. Maybe you wouldn't take offense about it, but I guarantee you when I left the room, you know what you'd probably say? Who does she think she is? She doesn't have a degree in this. She hasn't even worked in this field and is trying to tell me how to do it. And for me, that's with any job. For example, I wouldn't go to McDonald's and tell them how to cook their fries. I haven't cooked their fries. I don't know how to cook it. I would not go to a contractor and tell them how to pour concrete. I may think I know how to pour concrete, but the little things I know about pouring concrete, you have to have it at a certain temperature. Otherwise, it's going to crack. You have to mix it appropriately. That's why when you see people out here mixing all their concrete with quick concrete, sometimes it doesn't go right because there are certain things that experience, knowledge, and education treat you about it. So here's the thing at the end of the day. At the end of the day, this is her attorney. From what I've seen, it appears to the court that she's following through on all mental health issues if there are any. You know why I know? Because I put in here, refer to mental health court. And I know that she's been working on doing that. That's why it's in here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. And you know how I know that? Because she requested it. So when you come to me about the code of mental health, I already know she knows about that because otherwise it never would have been requested.
Judge Mack?
Sure.
And of course,
As long as you're not quoting the law to me.
I won't go the long, Your Honor.
Okay.
Of course, she did go to mental health and that's where we discussed, and that's the absolute right place to be. Just a month ago during a suicide attempt, I said, I really finally have insurance and I'd like to get inpatient care for her because it's a very, serious issue.
Okay.
And I was correct. No, let's hold off until we can get.
So here's the thing though. The advice that she's given your daughter and the advice that maybe she's given you, that's from her legal perspective. And she's trying to protect your daughter's legal rights because this is a criminal case, right? So that's what's happening. So what we're going to do, I'm sure she probably already has, but I'm sure she'll do it again. If your daughter wants to, she's going to discuss with her what the offer is. And we're going to come back. Either she's going to accept the offer, not accept the offer. And either we're going to be in jury trial or we're not going to be in jury trial. That's where we are. But I will tell you this, whenever you're meeting people and you're meeting people in their profession and you want to talk to them, don't quote them things about their profession. I know that she's not going to take it as a slight, but people tend to not like that because people pay more what the cost of a mortgage for their degrees, and they spend a lot of time, experience, and knowledge doing what they do. And I don't know of any defense attorney who would purposely try to lead their client down the wrong path. And I've never seen her try to purposely lead her client down the wrong path. And just my experience of a judge with her, I've never had to tell her what the law is. Okay. All right. Is there anything else?
There is.
Yes.
My client had a mental health evaluation that her father has possession of and is refusing to relinquish, from my understanding. I would like to get that today.
All right. So here's the thing. I can't force you to turn over things to her, but get this. She needs information in order to represent your daughter, right? So that's what she needs in order to represent your daughter. Whether you want to turn it over or not, that's completely up to you. Here's another thing I would always tell my clients and my clients' parents. This center of the courtroom, which we call the well of the courtroom, is a minefield. Your child, I am directing them on where to walk in this well. That's a minefield. I'm behind protected glass, I'm going to be just fine. But when I'm telling them to turn right, it's based upon all the information that you've given me or withheld from me. And when I tell them to turn right, I would always tell them they have no choice. They're going to go right. Now, when they turn right because of some information you haven't given me, and I'm going by the information that I have, is there going to be an explosion? If there's an explosion and it's because of some information you had that you didn't give me, that's all on you. So if you or if people care about their children, this attorney, it's confidential. So if she receives something, guess what? It's confidential. It's something that she's received. Maybe it's something she wants to discuss with her client or not. It's not something that she is going to turn over to the state unless that's something she thinks should be done. So if you want to hold on to that, then that's up to you for holding on to it. But if you say you want to help your child and she's telling you she needs that information, I mean, what do you think she's going to do with the information? You know?
Well, I would say, I'd love to hear what her understanding of Michelle's mental.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I want you to internalize what I'm saying. She doesn't have to talk to you. You're not her client. What she's telling you is you have information and I'm assuming you want her to see the information. So either you want her to see it and study it and give it to her or you don't. If you don't, that's fine. I can't legally force you to turn that over to her. But what I'm telling you is if this is a child and you say you love your child, which I'm assuming you do, I've just told you the information you turn over to her is information you've given to her. Her medical records are confidential. She's an adult, so I don't even know why you have them in the first place because she is an adult. Those medical records are her medical records. They are not yours. She is not a child in the eyes of the law. So if you have something that would help her attorney represent her better and you love her, you probably should turn it over. The end. That's it. The end. All right. So either are you going to turn that over to her or not? That's either yes or no.
I'm going to give it to my daughter. If she wants to, it's a client, privilege between the two, and if she wants to.
All right. So just hand that over to your daughter now then. All right. Is there any other documentation that are medical records that belong to your daughter? And when I say belong to your daughter, her name is on it and it's related to her treatment. Do you have anything else?
Not with me.
All right. So this is what you need to do. Again, I can't force you to do it. Her medical documents are her medical documents. And do not interfere with her and her attorney relationship. You understand? So you can't give her her documents and then say, oh, I don't want your attorney to have it, or I don't want this to occur. You need to be a part of her having great mental health. And the way to do that is not put stressors on her. And don't put stressors on her by interfering with her relationship with her attorney. Because guess what? This atmosphere, being on the criminal side, is already stress enough, whether somebody committed an offense or not. Can you imagine the stress that people have because they think maybe they're going to prison? People in the box, guess what? They're over there. They're brought over from the Bexar County Jail, not on bond, can't make bond or something else. Even though you may say, oh, my daughter's not like those people, or my daughter doesn't have criminal history. Guess what? Even if there's somebody over in that box who's been to prison before, guess what? Their heart is still beating fast because they don't know if they're going to go back to prison or not. So this is a stressful situation for her. Don't make it any more stressful. You understand? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching. Stick around longer and click the highlighted videos to your right. See you there.